be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Immediately fell in love with the coaches and the facilities, and then I went on a visit later in the winter and really liked the campus as well as the schedule and how they play all the best teams in the country every year. So it's a pretty easy choice for me.
All right, welcome back to episode 69 here of the Bullpen. We have Keegan Seipp, a 2027 at Triad, and a Xavier commit coming on later in the show, so be sure to stick around for that. Appreciate Keegan hopping on. But yeah, I mean, we got a full slate of things to talk through today. Some game coverage, new Power 25, some college baseball notes. So, I mean, how you guys doing? We'll start off with that.
I'm fantastic, Gavin. Fantastic. How are you doing? I know you saw a really interesting game yesterday with some good prospects. Some of the best prospects probably in 1A baseball you got to see. So I'm not going to, steal the thunder on what you'll talk about later, but yeah, saw some good stuff.
No, it was a good game. Talking about Tremont. I saw Tremont last night. I think they're 23-2 now. So yeah, we'll get into that later, but they've got some really good players on that team, prospects. So good stuff there.
And another team that just, when we're looking at Power 25, their records really stood out to us in the past. We hadn't seen them play yet this year. We knew they had some prospects, but getting the eye test on them is going to be crucial for, the next Power 25 update. But no, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to talk through with college baseball that you have listed. I mean, one thing that I'm just loving to see right now personally is what's going on with Chicago professional baseball in the major leagues with the White Sox and the Cubs. This is the most exciting White Sox team that they've had in a handful, maybe a decade of years. And the Cubs are just on a tear right now. You wouldn't have expected it with the injuries that happened here about a month ago. I'm pretty sure I heard they were 16 wins in their last 19 games, so 16-3 in their last 19, and some crazy long home winning streak. I'd be wrong if I said it. I think it was 12.
Yeah, it's
okay.
12.
And a really nice come from behind win against the Reds on Monday night to kick off the week. And the White Sox, I mean, Murakami, is that the right way to say it there, Nick? It'd be like one of the top 3 hitters in baseball. This is absurd what he's doing. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on the White Sox, but they're getting really good starting pitching. They obviously brought up Noah Schultz. When he's in the strike zone, it's going to be really dynamic from the looks of it. Whenever he's getting in trouble, it's just from a couple walks. And then Sam Antonacci's added a nice little piece to their club, but really, really fun to watch. Obviously, Colson Montgomery.
Yeah, it's actually watchable this year, which is good. I mean, I haven't been able to watch a White Sox game in 3 years. And I've watched a pretty good amount of them. And even yesterday, I mean, had it on. Antonacci had 2 or 3 hits. Benintendi, I think, had 4 hits. Murakami went yard. I mean, it's a fun team, and the good thing about it is the division is bad. So I know it's May, but we're a half game out. But that's the best we've been in years. So I can't complain. It's fun to watch. Yeah, like you said, the pitching. I saw the stat that since April 3rd, I think, the starting pitchers for the White Sox have the best ERA. It's a 2.7 or something. I mean, Davis Martin yesterday, he's 5-1 on the year with a 1.6 ERA. I mean, it's fun, but again, I know it's just gonna go bad at some point this year, so I'm just waiting for it. But
no, you gotta have faith.
One thing I saw is that Antonacci has one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball, and I know he hasn't played probably as many games, so I don't know how they calculate all that, but still,
with sample size,
awesome. Yeah, still pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, he's a grinder. Did they have him leading off?
Yep, and he led off the game with a walk, and then I think he had a hit the next 2 or 3 at bats. So he's been doing well.
I think what they're doing at the big league level right now is awesome. I didn't realize that Jared Kelenic was now at the White Sox. He had 3 hits. He had 3 hits last night, and just for where we sit, Kelenic was the name in the Midwest a few years back when he was coming through high school. He was one of the top prospects in the country. Like he came to the Super 60 twice. He came as a junior and was arguably the best prospect at the Super 60 as a junior. Came back his senior year, was a high draft, and didn't really perform up to expectations, but he's a grinder. Getting a chance here with the White Sox, so like I'm rooting for him. He was the same class as Alec Thomas, so two really, really good outfielders, in the Chicagoland, Wisconsin area. Kelenick's from up there in Wisconsin. But
did Kelenick was he Oconomowoc High School? Or what high school would he
I
have been
don't
at?
believe it was Oconomowoc. I'd have to look it up if somebody wanted to pull that up
I'll
quick.
look it up.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell because I know the Oconomowoc area. But just he was an absolute stud in high school. Like to this day, he's one of the best high school players I've seen. You got it here, Gav?
Yeah, he's Waukesha West.
There you go. And he's had some younger brothers. He had a younger brother that came through the system, and then I think he has maybe a 2030 brother as well that's coming up there in Wisconsin. But no, the White Sox, like Braden Montgomery. I don't know if you've seen what
Yeah,
he's been doing in the
he just
minors.
got called up to AAA. And
Yeah,
same thing with Hagen Smith. They have another lefty coming up. So
yeah.
once those two get called up, I mean, watch out. You might win 75 games.
Well, and what you're definitely a realist. I could see here being a White
Yeah,
Sox fan. You've learned your
sadly.
lessons probably,
Yep.
but I even saw like Caleb Bonnemer,
hmm
is one of the,
Yeah.
I mean, top performers in minor league baseball so far this
Yeah.
year.
I think he won
Um,
Player of the Week for their league last year or last week.
yeah. So just it's exciting. I want to see good all sports here in Chicago and have two, baseball teams. The White Sox are encroaching on reaching 500. So, and I think they're a half game back
Yeah.
in the division. I was going to say earlier, you're talking about the division not being great. Like they have to be fist pumping with Tarek Skubal going
Yeah,
down as
for
well. Like
sure.
that's a huge piece there in the AL Central. But
Yeah. A win today could get them over five or to 500 for the first time. I think it was since 2022.
yikes.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's a tough stat.
big game tonight. Big game.
That's a tough stat. But no, Gav, I mean, unless you have anything else
one
there,
thing
yeah.
as you guys were talking that I forgot to mention, and it's Mother's Day week. So if you're listening to this, go get your mom flowers. They do a lot for you. Shout out to all the moms this week. I just had to mention that. I saw some stuff on Twitter like, hey, don't forget it's Mother's Day week. Like go take care of your mom. So shout out to the moms out there.
It's a really savvy move on your part there, Gav, like especially if your mom occasionally peeks in on this show, like definitely that you're thinking about her
Yeah.
on a Wednesday here. I know we pod on Tuesdays, but on a
Yep.
Wednesday here before Mother's Day, don't let it get too late. Get them something special. I love the call out, and trust me, my wife has been reminding me that Mother's Day is coming up now for like the past month because she knows that I'll procrastinate. But no, I got a little gift already, so I
Nice.
think I'm ahead
Good
of the
stuff.
curve for how I normally am. But no, to all the players out there, like, and just whether it's your mom or your like anybody that takes care of you, and is raising you, like, man, thank them and be a good kid. And they do so much for you. And especially if you're a guy that's, coming through trying to play baseball, the amount of effort they put into getting you to your summer tournaments and your spring stuff and your off-season workouts and feeding you meals and doing your laundry and all that stuff. Don't forget about the parents out there.
Yeah, so let's look at some college baseball stuff here. So again, it's been a consensus every week thing that we've talked about this season so far is Northern Illinois. They swept Central Michigan this weekend, 29-13 overall. They are 19-8 in the MAC, which is good for second in the conference so far this year. So shout out to Northern Illinois. They just keep doing it. Illinois State swept Valpo this weekend. They're 30-17 overall, 12-9 in the Valley. Illinois Chicago won their series over Evansville. They're 12-6 in the Valley. Eastern Illinois swept SEMO this weekend, 28-15 overall, 15-6 in the OVC. Northwestern won their series over Indiana, and then SIUE swept swept Lindenwood, so they are 27-21 and then they're 15-6 in the OVC. Let's see here. So we got UIC is tied for first in the Valley. Illinois State is a game and a half back in the Valley. And then Eastern Illinois and SIUE are both tied for first in the OVC. So some good stuff all around from programs here in Illinois.
Fires me up. You got some good baseball coming out of the state, and a lot of Illinois products that are doing it at those schools. And I didn't realize this. So Illinois State, they've won 30 games now, Gavin, and some of their top arms have gone down throughout the season, and they're still figuring it out. Like Braden Zillis has gotten a chance on the mound as a true freshman for them. He was, in their lineup a couple times as a position player. He and Jackson Natanik were two-way guys that they recruited that are freshmen that are impacting their team right now. But Zillis is throwing the ball well on the mound in his limited starts, but Lucas Foley was a guy that had been lights out for them, and I was just trying to pull up the stats because they've been without him now for a while. He had a 1.19 ERA, had given up 13 hits in 22 plus innings. He's a Chicagoland product coming out of high school, so really, really impressive what they're doing. I don't think they have Henry Brummel right now either, so just to add a little more color there to what Illinois State's doing. And then I just constantly am peeking at as many stats as I can across college baseball. And you mentioned SIU Edwardsville. They swept Lindenwood. They're 27-21 on the year. And we've mentioned this guy multiple times because he just continues to lead their offense. But Ryan Nedved out of West Aurora, former pro case guy for us, but he's hitting 339. And when I was looking last, he had 20 home runs. So within the last day or two, he hit another one because he's got 21 home runs right now for SIU Edwardsville, 55 RBIs, a 417 OBP. He's got 12 doubles, 27 walks to 31 strikeouts. So, hitting for that kind of power and having your walk to strikeout ratio being that close speaks to his, bat to ball, plate discipline, that sort of thing. So just wanted to shout him out again because he's been a guy I've been tracking all season.
You mentioned Northwestern took 2 of 3 from Indiana. That made me want to dig into Jack Lausch. He's hitting 314 on the year right now with 12 jacks and 13 doubles. So he's really figured it out. It's his second full year after, or I guess it's his first full year from taking a step away from football, but still just one of the cooler stories that, we've seen, I would say, just going to Northwestern to play football, not even play baseball, and then basically just jump back into it, and now you're hitting over 300. That just speaks to the athlete he is, and I mean, he's going to have a chance to hear his name called this summer in the draft, I would say for sure now.
Those numbers, he must be on a heater right now too, because those numbers have elevated pretty quickly, I would say, over the last month.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because I checked a few days ago, and he was hitting 290 something. So
okay.
He must have had a good week against Indiana.
Yeah. And Northwestern Indiana got to play at Wrigley, I saw. Kind of pretty cool. Wrigley's doing some stuff here with those college programs, high school programs. I know you got to see Brother Rice play over there against Mount Carmel. And I think Northwestern lost that game at Wrigley, and then they won the next 2 up in Evanston over Indiana.
Do you think that, I was wondering this, is that because of the connection with Jack? I think it's Jack Council that plays for Northwestern, right? And his dad, is that what would have gotten them there, or do you think do they just typically do this anyway?
Well, the football team plays there.
Okay.
Basically every year, just about almost every year. So there's probably something with the athletic department, but I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Jack does play there as well. I saw.
I think that's his son that plays there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really don't know, but that definitely, I would imagine, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah, hey, Craig, go talk to the higher ups for us here and make this happen. Yeah, definitely could be the case. But I mean, with NIU being, or with Northwestern being right up there in Evanston in the location, it does make a ton of sense.
Yeah. Well, Drew, you were kind of talking about some Illinois guys here, and every week conferences will put out their player of the week, pitcher of the week, and this week in the Valley, all 4 awards went to Illinois products. Illinois State, Michael Serrano Jr., he's a 2023 grad out of St. Lawrence, was the MVC newcomer of the week. He hit 473 with 5 runs scored, 8 RBIs, 2 home runs. And then Braden Bakes, again, he is a 4-time Missouri Valley Player of the Week now. Hit 562 last week with 7 runs scored, 4 RBIs, 3 doubles, and a home run. And then at UIC, we've got Sean Cody, a freshman. He was their MVC Freshman of the Week. He was a 2025 grad out of Richards. And then Mason Lee, a 2023 grad at Freeport, earned the Missouri Valley Pitcher of the Week. So all Illinois guys tearing it up in the Valley last week.
Are all those for Braden this year?
Yes.
So
Yep.
he's on like Player of the Year watch, I would say, right? He's got to be.
I would think for that
Yeah,
conference.
that's absurd.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
you
that's
don't
what I
see
meant.
Fords. Yeah, no, like you don't see. Well, shoot, and he's probably on some All-American lists too when you talk about nationwide. But like, you don't see 4-time Player of the Weeks very often.
No.
Especially a really quality conference like that. I'm gonna stick with giving some shout outs here. We mentioned my alma mater last week, Indiana Southeast. They got into conference play, their conference tournament. They ended up winning it. It's the River States Conference. It's NAIA baseball, but they're 39-14 overall. By winning that conference tournament, they kind of give themselves that automatic bid into the national tournament, and it's changed a little bit since when I was around way back in the day. So I don't want to speak totally to the format, but they'll get some postseason play there, which fires me up. And a little Illinois love there too is Brendan Whalen. His dad Troy is the head coach at Grays Lake Central, one of their top arms. He's got a 3.24 ERA. He's thrown 75 innings, 63 hits, only 16 walks on the year, so he's filling up the zone, and he struck out 66. Also, Tucker Shalley was a name that I saw is down at Indiana Southeast now. Like, he was an Illinois commit out of Prophetstown a few years back. Long levered right-hander that I really liked out of high school. So that was just another name that kind of brought me back looking at that. And then another name, Brandon Rogers, leading Purdue in hitting right now. He's a Mount Carmel grad, 2022, hitting 369 with 6 doubles and 5 home runs. And he hasn't played, all the games. He's kind of played a little bit more than half from what I saw in the stats. And he's their center fielder. And I've seen multiple highlights of him like crashing into walls, making catches. So, hopefully he's not hurt at this present moment. But Brandon Rogers, former future gamer for us, a high-level athlete. Fun to see him doing his thing over there at Purdue. As we're talking here, Gav, Nick shot over a little note, and I don't know if it warrants being in this week or not, but going back to the beginning of the podcast and talking about college performers, Tyler Bell at Kentucky, he earned SEC Co-Player of the Week honors. Looked like he hit 538 on the week with 7 hits, 6 runs, 2 home runs. I actually saw video of one of the home runs. He was hitting right-handed off a lefty. He's a switch hitter, and it was an absolute tank. The only question was if it was fair or foul. But it seemed like it cleared the left field wall by 100 feet. So really tapping into like some plus power, to where if he's showing that with the switch hitting ability, the shortstop ability, the bat to ball skills, the plate discipline, I expect to see his name, in the draft here coming up, in one of the early rounds, I would think. And then too, I mentioned earlier about Tucker Shalley being on that IUS Indiana Southeast roster. He's actually from Jersey, Illinois. I was thinking of Clayton Johnson from Prophetstown, who was an Illinois commit back in the day, another large-bodied, smaller town prospect with a good arm. But Tucker Shalley went to Jersey High School.
So we made another update to the Power 25. Pretty big week, I would say, but the top 3 remain the same. But I'll just toss it over to you guys to kind of break it down and talk through it.
Yeah, I mean, we got St. Lawrence still holding down number 1. They're on a 22-game win streak. Lincoln Way East up to 2, or staying at 2. They've won 9 of 10. And then Normal Community, they're on an 8-game win streak. But then we got Lockport moving up 1 to number 4. They're winners of 7 straight. Brother Rice moving up 1 to 5. They've won 11 of 12. And then Lane Tech is rising 2. And they're on a 20-game win streak right now. So one of the hottest teams in the state.
We got McHenry moving up 3 spots after a 6-0 week. They're currently 21-3-1 and on an 8-game win streak.
I was just gonna touch on some of those top teams that you were talking about there, Pete, because it's been a while since we've seen a team as dominant as St. Lawrence is showing right now. Um, there's a handful of years ago, there's been some teams that have started out the year undefeated, some things like that, but um, St. Lawrence is undefeated in the state of Illinois. And it's not just the fact that they're winning games, but it's the margins that they're winning games by, the offense. I mean, they're putting up double digit runs, it seems like, over teams within the first 3 innings. It's like, oh, they're up 10-0, they're up 10-1, whatever it may be. It's really fun to see them coming off winning a state title last year, and it seems like they're potentially better this year. So anything can happen in the postseason, but St. Lawrence is just firmly cementing themselves as that team to beat in the state, looking at 4A, coming off the state finals, the state championship, I should say. And Lincoln Way East has been a really fun team to see this year as well. And what I love about them is like they're full of juniors. Like they're that team that kind of reminds me of St. Lawrence last year, depending on what they do this year. Like they're going to bring back so much to where they're probably going to be even better next year. But I mean, they're sitting at 21-2, and they don't play an easy schedule. Normal Community coming off a 5-0 week, really like getting back on track. They're 20-2 on the year. They're another team coming off a state finals appearance that has a lot of senior leadership and a lot to prove. And then Lockport, they were just a tough team for us early on in the year because we liked them. They had a lot of losses early on in the year, but we knew they played a ridiculous schedule with a ton of Power 25 teams. So to see them now really hit their stride and just collect a ton of wins, their record looks a lot prettier now at 17-7. But they just keep kind of climbing up our list slowly. Like 3-4 weeks ago, they were at number 7, then number 5. Now they're at number 4. We'll see what they can keep doing. And Brother Rice, kind of proven the same thing as Lockport. Like they had a gauntlet of an early season schedule, and they have 8 losses on the year. But last week, playing conference games, I mean, they swept Rita, they swept Loyola, they went 4-0. They're 17-8 now on the year. And man, to see what Lane Tech's doing is really fun as well. Another team that's really been climbing up our list as of late, won a bunch of games in a row, and they're sitting at 20-4. So I know I kind of regurgitated a lot of what you already said, but those are just some things that really stick out to me looking at the top of the Power 25 here, and I know there's some other teams to talk about.
Well, one other thing about Lincoln Way East is they really like their sophomore group, potentially more than their junior group. So they'll be really good for a long time, and they'll be one to watch here in the next few years, it seems like.
And one sophomore, like they don't have a lot of sophomores that are impacting that club just because of how deep they are and how loaded they are. But Keegan Crabtree, he's a guy that we saw, I think, for the first time last fall at a showcase, showed really well, like the actions and movement patterns you want to see. The tools weren't fully like developed at that time, and they weren't loud. But then he came back this winter in February, and like everything had ticked up. He was still the same really silky smooth mover, and like 60 time got better, arm strength got better, the velo on the mound really took a step up, and he's been impacting their club on the mound for sure, and getting some time as a position player too. So he's a really, really solid two-way follow for them in that sophomore class. Just one that stands out to me, Pete.
Mascoutah, they're up to number 12 now. They're up 2 spots. They went 3-0 on the week. Lincoln Way West up to 14, Lamont up to 15, and Geneva up to 16. They're all up 2 spots from last week. Then we got Manuka, number 9. They're entering for the first time this year at number 19, but they've been a team we've kind of been on for a while now. They went 4-0 on the week, and they're 18-4 on the year. Dunlap up 2 spots to number 21. They're 19-4. Edwardsville with a big week. They're up to 22 now, 14-8. So not the best record, but kind of going off what we were just talking about. Like they had a gauntlet of an early schedule, moving some pieces around. It seems like they're kind of figuring it out, and they're typically one of the teams that does play their best baseball later in the year. And it seems like they're starting to followed that trend per usual, and they went 3-0 with big wins over East Peoria and 2 wins over Belleville East, and they're actually leading that conference right now with a 7-1 record. And then Glenwood into the Power 25 for the first time this year at number 24. They're 17-3, and they had a 2-0 week.
Yeah, the Edwardsville call out to me is like, we've got multiple eye tests on them. We love the way that they play. It doesn't really matter who's in their lineup. They're going to battle. They're going to do the little things right. And like, they've been battling injuries on the mound this year, and hopefully they're going to get some guys back here soon. But that's what stood out to me last week and really warranted the bump was like, they gave up 1 run in 3 games, 2 shutouts and 1 run against Belleville East. So seems like they're getting some production on the mound. They're going to have to pitch it. Like, I don't think they're going to be a team like St. Lawrence. It's going to bang out, double-digit runs every game, but they're going to be tough to beat. And Coach Funkhauser down there will have them figured out and kind of the right lineup and recipe for success come playoff time. But they've been a tough one on like where to slot them in the Power 25, like just full transparency. But we love what they do down there, and I will always give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's good to see them coming off a 3-0 week.
And some of these teams outside the Power 25 that I was kind of keeping an eye on. I mean, Tremont, we mentioned them at the beginning. Last week, as of this update, they are now 23-2, but as of the update, they're 22-2. They had a 3-0 week. And then Metamora, they're 18-4. They had a 4-0 week. Newman Central Catholic, they're 18-1. They had a 3-0 week, and they're a team that's no stranger to state. I mean, they've been there a lot in the 1A, 2A level. I think they're up to 2A now this year. And then Teutopolis, 19-5, 3-0 week. Tolono Unity, they're 17-3. They had a 4-1 week. And then I saw last night they took down St. Joseph Ogden. So big win for them. Big Power 25 win there. North Clay, 24-3, 4-0 week. They were a team we saw at the Kickoff Classic. And again, no stranger to state. Nashville, 18-2, 2-0 week. And then Monticello, they're 24-1. They had a 3-1 week, and one of their only loss was to St. Joseph Ogden. I saw them last week. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But, yeah, some teams to know outside the Power 25 in Central and Southern Illinois there.
Yeah, I mean, another school down there like Harrisburg, Defaball saw them, and they're 18-3 and a lot to like. I don't know. You may have mentioned them and I may have missed it, but that's a team we definitely are keeping our eyes on. A number of schools too around the Chicagoland, like Fremd, I know stood out a little bit to you, Pete. They were good last year. They're sitting there at 15-7-1, and I just think they'll be a tough outcome playoff time. Freeburg down there is 19-5 in the St. Louis area with some good arms to look out for. Grays Lake Central 17-3. OPRF, Oak Park River Forest, now sitting at 17-7, coming off a couple good weeks. Washington 17-7. Downers Grove North is just a team I'm kind of eyeing. They're 15-9, so they've taken some losses, but it's like anytime Colin Doyle's on the mound, you got to watch out for them. Lake Forest sitting there at 17-4. Highland Park 16-5. Rolling Meadows was another team that stood out to you a little bit, Pete, but they're sitting there at 16-6. And St. Charles East, I like what they've been doing. They had a tough week last week, but they're still 15-6 on the year, and a lot of prospects that we've seen in the past that we like. So we definitely are keeping our eyes on them. Those are just a few schools I wanted to call out.
Yeah, good calls on Fremd and Rolling Meadows there. I really liked my looks at both of them. But some other schools that I think we should keep an eye on and that are just outside the Power 25. We got Willowbrook, 19-4. They went 3-0 on the week. They're a fun team. They got some thump in that lineup and some good players around the diamond. Providence Catholic, kind of starting to pick back up here, like another Edwardsville type team where they start to figure out what they got and they start to play the better baseball later in the year. But they're 13-9. They went 4-1 on the week. They had wins over St. Rita when they were ranked number 22. And they actually beat number 2 Lincoln Way East. And they had 2 wins over DePaul College Prep. And then Sandburg, a team that was in our Power 25 earlier in the year, they're 15-6. And they went 3-0 on the week. So just another team to watch here.
I mean, look out for Providence. They've got a lot of depth on the mound. If they can figure it out and score some runs, they're gonna be dangerous, and nobody's gonna want to play them come playoff time. Waterloo's another team that I just wanted to shout out. They're 12-5. They took down Triad last week. They split with them in conference, so they've had a couple good wins on the year, and definitely should be on the radar.
Yeah, they beat O'Fallon. There's one other team they beat, maybe Mascuda as well.
Yeah, they took
So
down Mascuda one game.
they're definitely one to watch. But do we want to move to Diamond Notes here, Gab? Is that where we're heading? All right, cool. I'll start off with George Donzi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. A senior from Jacobs going to Wisconsin, Stevens Point. He, by all accounts, from Coach Murray, has been a really bright spot for them all year on the mound. And he had a huge win on the mound over number 4 Huntley at the time. Through a complete game, struck out 5, allowed just 2 hits, one walk and 1 earned run. So huge outing there. And then
he's a stud.
Yeah.
I got to see them in their first game of the year, Pete, and what I loved about them was it's nothing but strikes. And for the high school level, it was low 80s. I think the velo will tick up at some point, but fastball, breaking ball in any count. And the breaking ball was a good swing and miss pitch, and I'm sure he's given teams all kinds of fits because he just pounds the zone. He doesn't beat himself, and he's got really, really good feel to pitch. So I really liked him when I saw him at the Kickoff Classic. They were playing Collinsville. To see him just continue to be the same guy, outing after outing after outing, fires me up. He's going to Wisconsin Stevens Point, but just such a good, reliable starter and an ace for Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, and all the kids listening, just throw strikes. Kids fly out in BP, right? Kids get themselves out. Don't need to pick around the corners, especially at the high school level. I got 2 more arms actually that I liked. Cannon Madej from Lamont. He's a senior going to Swick. He threw a complete game shutout over Hanover Central from Indiana, who I actually saw earlier in the year, and they're a very solid team. So he threw 7 innings, allowed just 2 hits, no runs, no walks. And struck out 11 in a 3-0 win there. And then Josh Jones from Normal Community, a senior going to Indiana State, struck out 15 over 6 innings with just 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 2 walks. And then a couple more guys that I had here. Jory Crocker, he hit over 500 on the week, won an extra inning game with by driving in the winning run, and then he finished up on the mound. He had a 7-pitch save on Wednesday. Has not allowed an earned run all year yet, but on the week went 6 for 16, walked 3 times, had a double, had a triple, drove in 4 and scored 6 times. Also stole a base. And then Brady Cunningham continues to have a great year. He was 7 for 11, 4 walks, a double, triple, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, scored 9 runs, stole a base, and he also had a 3-inning appearance against St. Rita where he allowed just 1 earned run. Struck out 7. So some good lines there.
If Normal Community is going to get outings like that from Josh Jones, they are going to be a tough team come playoffs. They've got Gavin Swartz, who's been throwing the light. I don't know the right way to put it, but he's been throwing the ball really, really well. Pretty dominant. And then, Josh Jones, he showed a fastball, I want to say up to 94 in his first start of the year. So they've got 2 mid-90s guys. He's striking out 15 in 6 innings. That's obviously swing and miss dynamic stuff. They've got 2 hard-throwing right-handers who are going to take the ball. Really, we talk about it, when playoff time comes, but having those 2 starters that could win any game is really a big recipe for success and recipe for making a long run in that one and done playoff format.
Yeah, do you guys want to move over to our game coverage now? Looking at the top prospects. So I talked about RJ Duncan here 2 weeks ago, on last week's episode, because I saw him at the plate and he was catching, but now I got to see him as an arm later last week. So right-handed pitcher RJ Duncan. East Peoria 2026, committed to Illinois State. Stands in a 6-foot, 203-pound frame. Very strong, but he's an athlete still. And on the mound, he's kind of a stretch-only guy. Thought he repeats, and he has a really quick arm. The fastball is 89 to 93. Touched 94 twice. Played with arm side action. The slider was 76 to 79 miles an hour with 10-4 shape. really swing and miss type pitch, sharp actions. The curveball was 76 to 78, more 11-5 shape, which is good. You know, sometimes guys will throw a slider, curveball, and the shapes don't differ, but his did. So just made it really effective having those two shapes in his arsenal. And then a changeup there at 83 to 86, and he threw that. Had fade, but just really like RJ on the mound. The slider is a really good pitch. The fastball velo continues to tick up. And I think he's just a really, really interesting arm in the class. Probably one of the top arms in our 26 class here in Illinois. So shout out to RJ. I really liked the look that I saw. And again, just getting it done both on the mound and at the plate.
I would say the top prospect I saw all week was Colin Doyle, a Duke commit from Downers Grove North. He's a junior. He's 6'6", basketball player, super athletic, like high level athlete, high level mover. Like it's super loose. He repeats really well for the size. That's nothing new. And he was up to 95, but sat low 90s. And it's like a really dynamic fastball. Comes out super easy. Life through the zone, carry. But I mean, he didn't have his best stuff, and he'll be the first to admit it. He got barreled a little bit early. He didn't really have feel for his off speed, but he battled, right? Like that told me more than if he were to have just shoved, right? Because we knew he's really good already, but I wanted to see like how does he handle like not having his best stuff. And most kids are probably out of that game after 3 innings, but he ended up throwing 6 innings and they got the win. Like he figured it out. He buckled down. Like he was not rattled, was not phased, just buckled down and shoved basically the rest of the game. And eventually found a little bit of feel in that breaking ball. But he was super impressive. 6'6" with 95-mile-an-hour fastballs doesn't grow on trees. So he'll be one to watch for sure. Obviously the rest of this year, but for the draft next year as well.
Yeah, so I have another one here, and this guy I saw last night. It is right-handed pitcher Chase Rhodes, a 2026 at Tremont, headed to John A. Logan. Again, stretch-only guy, repeats. It's a really clean arm, and it's quick. Works out of a 3/4 slot. 6'4" frame, 190 pounds. I think there's plenty more to come still. 5 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, only walked 1, no earned runs allowed, and no hits allowed. The fastball was 91 to 93, touched 94 twice. Curveball was 75 to 77. The slider was 72 to 74, and then his changeup was 78 to 80. In this look, his curveball was definitely his best off speed. It really, at times, showed sharp action with that 11-5 shape, more vertical with depth, whereas the slider was a little slower, not as much movement on that pitch. But I think he's a really interesting arm with a lot more to dream on as he continues to progress. And I think a school like John A., they're going to do a good job with their pitch development. And I'm sure he's going to just continue to elevate once he gets there and compete at the college level. And he's just an arm that I think just has a ton of room still to come in his ability to polish everything up. So Chase Rhodes at Tremont at 2026 is another one of my top prospects from last week.
The top prospect that I had seen last week was top player in the 27 class, Caden Wozniewski. I actually got a look at him with the bat. He's committed to LSU, and he just continues to hit every time I see him. On Friday against Burlington Central, he hit a 3-run homer in the first inning. The wind was kind of blowing in. It was like 370 to center, and he smoked it. It was probably 400 feet. Found the barrel there, 3-run homer, and then he singled later in the game and also walked twice. So he finished 2 for 2 with the home run, 3 RBIs and 2 walks. He just shows barrel control consistently, uses the whole field with power to the gaps. He's got a more upright setup with a short stride, and he's got some strong hands. I mean, we know him for the arm, but every time I see him, he just continues to hit, and he's key in that McHenry lineup for sure.
An arm that I want to buy stock in is Robbie Seifert from Phorm, the junior, uncommitted. He's 6'1", 155. I mean, he threw the ball extremely well against Barrington. He had a no-hitter through 5 complete innings. They got to him a little bit in the 6th inning, but I mean, it was low 80s. He could sink it down. He could carry it up. He was getting whiffs at the top of the zone and just really late, uncomfortable swings like all day. The breaking ball was like a bigger, sweepy breaking ball. just change speeds and he could just flat pitch. And like kids that can just flat pitch, especially being left-handed and they don't have their velo yet, you want to buy stock in those kids because the second they get velo, they're just going to take off, right? If he's getting outs at 83, what's he going to look like at 87, 88 when he puts weight onto that 6'1", 150-pound frame? So I just came away really, really liking him, and he's one that coaches need to get on for this summer for sure. And the way he moves, just an awesome, fluid, silky mover. Like you can project on the movement patterns too, and the arm. It's a lower kind of deceptive release, so there's just a lot to like there with Robbie.
Yeah, so my upside prospect here is going to be third baseman Eli Rodell, a 2026 at Washington. He is headed to Illinois Central College next year. Really liked it. He's a 6'4", 180-pound frame, long levers, and I think there's plenty more to come. And I might have talked about him a couple weeks ago when I saw Washington the first time this year. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, left-handed hitter, and it's a pretty fluid and easy swing, and he was facing Duncan in this game. It was a 4-1 game in the top of the 7th, and Washington really couldn't get anything going the entire game. They load the bases in the top of the 7th. Eli comes up to the plate. Duncan's still throwing low 90s, probably touching 90, 91 at this point. And Rodell just takes one and absolutely barrels it like it's nothing to the deepest part of the field in center field at East Peoria and clears the bases for a double to actually I think it was a 4-2, but either way, it took the lead. Washington took the lead with that hit. Ended up winning the game, but really like the swing. I just think there's a ton more to come with like the strength and his ability to kind of become like a power threat. And then defensively, played third base, pretty steady defender there, and I thought his arm played across the diamond. But I just really like the future and the upside here with Eli. I think the best is yet to come for him.
My upside prospect is right-handed pitcher Adric Arndt out of Burlington Central. He's an uncommitted 2027. It was a pretty intriguing look. He's a lanky 6'6", 195-pound right-hander. He's got feel for a three-pitch mix and consistently filled up the zone on Friday. He threw 69% strikes. His fastball played at 83 to 86, topped out at 87 with some arm side run, and I think there's more to come with the fastball, especially with that frame. As he continues to put on weight, I wouldn't be surprised if that's low 90s soon. His curveball is 69 to 72 with the 11.5 shape. He landed it, consistently used it in all counts, wasn't afraid to throw it while he was behind. Then he flashed a changeup at 75 to 76. That's still developing some feel, but that played with some fade. But he worked out of some trouble throughout. He settled in after the first inning. He let up that 3-run homer to Wozniewski in the first. That top three in that McHenry lineup's kind of a gauntlet. So outside of those guys, he settled in. He did really well. Definitely a upside prospect and a guy to follow in the 27 class.
I got a trio of uncommitted names here, so I'll just probably rip through all three of them. My first one, Jackson Roberts, a junior from Barrington, stood out to me just on the infield. He's a true shortstop. He's bouncy. He's twitchy. Really stood out during I.O. and just made all the plays during the game, like made it look easy. It's a clean right-handed swing, like minimal swing and miss. I like the way it works, like the approach, and he can really run. I had him as a 3.88 down the line on a bunt, so that's pretty high-level stuff there. And then Jack O'Callahan, a junior catcher from Rolling Meadows. I didn't know who he was, so it was great to see him, get a first look at him. 2 hits on the day. Just love the way the swing worked. It's fluid. It's flat. It's an upside operation, and he was on the barrel a couple times, like I said. Left-hand hitting catcher, so premium profile there, and then just absolutely worked his butt off blocking, like was diving, moving side to side, like really, really impressive. Just the effort he was putting into it. And the arm play down to second. So left-hand hitting catcher, typically, those are a good profile to follow. So excited to see a little bit more of him in the future. But Zach Goldberg, a senior from Oak Park River Forest, I just really like the way the swing works. He took, low 90s, I want to say. I don't know the exact because I was on the side, but it was definitely at least low 90s to the gap for a triple. So no problem with velo. Like the way the swing works. just took good at bats all day. Like didn't expand the zone, didn't swing and miss. Just what you want to see. And then he's also high academic and a really good center fielder. So just 3 to 0 there that are uncommitted.
My uncommitted prospect of the week here is going to be left-handed pitcher Matthias Rudolph, a 2027 at Monticello. And honestly, he didn't have a great outing as a whole. Statistically, you're going to look at the stats and you're not going to be super impressed, but just the prospect, I think, and the future of Matthias is really interesting. He's a 6'2", 179-pound frame, and it's pretty high-waisted, long levers, wiry build. Seems to be a lot more strength to come, probably another 10, 15 pounds to be added, but it's a pretty simple mover. He repeats out of an over-the-top slot. The fastball is 83 to 85. He touched it in 87, and then he threw a curveball at 70 miles an hour with 1.7 shape. But I just thought it was an interesting arm there out of Monticello to kind of keep an eye on, and I know we've gotten some reports on him over the past couple of years, and they've had a lot of good things to say about him over there at Monticello. So, Matthias Rudolph, uncommitted 27.
My uncommitted prospect of the week is left-handed pitcher Nathan Neidhart out of McHenry. He's a senior, still uncommitted. I've seen him a couple times with the bat. He's a two-way, and I'm still kind of surprised that he's uncommitted. But this on Friday against Burlington, he was pitching. He threw a complete game shutout. He showed strong feel for the breaking ball and got ahead of hitters early. He threw 72% strikes, limited the hard contact throughout. But his fastball was 79 to 84 with some ride. He held the velo throughout. I put the gun on in the 7th inning, and he was still 79 to 83. He showed a tight breaking slider at 72 to 74 with a lot of swing and miss throughout the game. Curveball was low 70s with some more sweeping action. So there's definitely a difference between the curveball and the slider here. He allowed one hit up until the last inning where he let up a double with 2 outs, I think. So did really well. I mean, final line, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. So two-way prospect out of McHenry, Nathan Neidhart, still uncommitted in the 2026 class.
Moving into the gamer or the prospect with best in-game performance, I'm going to go with Will Graba, a senior from Friend going to Harper. 3 for 4 on the day, just nothing but barrels, nothing but good at bats, scrappy, just when he's up there, you could just feel the confidence he had, and just there's no shot you're gonna get him out. It was just one of those that's the kid you want up in a big moment, and he actually came up in the last inning. It was tied. There was 1 man on, so he had a chance to walk it off, and I thought he was for sure going to do it. He ended up still singling, and they walked off the game a couple batters later, but man, he was just awesome. Doubled, just missed a home run by a foot. It's left-handed, it's strong, it's direct, did not swing and miss. That swing is going to play at the next level against velocity, against off-speed, against basically everything, and he's one of their best arms on the mound. So, big fan of that kid on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, so my gamer is right-handed pitcher Asher Prumer, a 2026 in St. Joseph Ogden. He's going to Kaskaskia next year. And I think the best way to describe him is just like a killer on the mound, super competitive. And it's kind of the guy that we've seen in the past. And first inning, he comes in throwing maybe, I think it was 83, 84-ish. And kind of was getting hit around a little bit, just not really looking like the guy that we've seen in the past. And I saw him earlier this spring, too, in a 1-inning relief appearance. But the second inning, he finally comes out, and it's 85, 88. And he just starts attacking and being the guy that we've seen to where he works quick, he's super competitive, and he's challenging hitters. He's mixing in his slider, and it was just really dominant from that point on. He threw a complete game shutout, struck out 8, only walked 1, and allowed 6 hits. But I love the way that he moves on the mound. It's super athletic. It's loose and very free-flowing. I don't know if I mentioned it, but a very high-waisted, 5'11", 140-pound frame with plenty more to come in the strength department. But the fastball in this outing was 83 to 86, touched 88, had arm side run, and then his slider 70 to 72 with big 10-4 shape, swing and miss potential pitch. But just really like to look at him, and he was dominant in a game against Monticello, who at the time was in the Power 25. So shout out to Asher there.
Yeah, I didn't really know what category to put this kid in. He's an uncommitted senior from what I can tell. Joe Brigham from Rolling Meadows, football player. So I'm not really sure what he's trying to do, but I love the way the arm works on the mound. Like he trotted in, they called him in from center field. So that speaks to the athlete he is. He's a quarterback, he's a center fielder. He comes in with no warm ups. It's 40 degrees, and he's sitting 83 to 85 with a quick arm and a slider, filling up the zone and ripping off a really good breaking ball. So I just came away really liking it. Like I'm not sure what he's trying to do in college, if he's trying to play football, baseball, or both, but that's a kid that for sure colleges should just know about because I really like the arm.
Yeah, Pete, I was kind of in the same boat. With my guy here, I think he definitely could have been in that upside prospect section, top prospect section, but just threw him down here and another name to know because I had to talk about him. Last night's game on Monday night, I mentioned I saw Tremont play, and I'm talking about shortstop Griffin Meeker here, a 2026 headed to Heartland, and he's a guy that I've liked really, I think, since his freshman year. He was playing in the starting lineup at Tremont. He was playing second base when I first saw him. I just like the athlete. I think there were still some things that he needed to work on at the plate, but he just has continued to get better. And I really liked the look that I saw last night. Like, really impressive stuff. A right-handed hitter. I thought he had quick hands, some bat speed through the zone. Basically, any contact he was making was hard hit. And I was telling the guys before this, like, he's probably facing a low 80s arm to start. And he takes his first pitch of the game to right field. Just a really hard hit ball to right field, which I thought was impressive that he's using the whole field and he's not just trying to be a pull side guy with maybe someone with lower velo than he's maybe used to seeing at times. But really impressed with that. And then just defensively, really confident hands. And he's a three-sport athlete, plays basketball and I believe football. And you can just see the athleticism translate to the field, to the baseball field. His feet really work. He moves with range to both sides. Like, I was really impressed with it. He had a quality arm across the diamond. But going to Heartland, just knowing what they do with guys, like, I think he will really, really thrive there and become an absolute stud of a prospect. So shout out to Griffin Meeker. I was really impressed with what I saw there.
I got another trio of names here for some underclass follows. My first one, Jack Postma from Barrington, 2028. It was not an easy day to pitch, first of all. It was like low 40s, but threw the ball well, up to 89 despite the cold temps. Mostly 88 early. Settled in kind of like the 84 to 86 range, like into the sixth inning, so it was holding velo pretty good. But I mean, he's every bit of 6'5". He's listed at 6'5". You could convince me he was like 6'6" or higher. Just the frame is exactly how you draw it up. I mean, he's probably not even done growing. Like, both his parents are really tall. His grandpa, met him, super nice guy, was like 6'9", like, and he played in the MLB from what I understand. So good bloodlines there. I mean, being that big, right? It's not easy to repeat the delivery, especially, he's only 16, a sophomore. However, I don't know if he's actually 16, but he's young, right? So, there's going to be some growing pains with the command at times, just like repeating. He was definitely getting a little quick at times, pulling the fastball, but that is as expected with someone that big and that young. So, I mean, you can only expect that to get better the more he kind of grows into his body and learns how the movement patterns. But when it was good, like the fastball was boring into righties, natural running action. The breaking ball was kind of varying shape and feel, but he flashed a couple really good ones. Like, the upside, there's no question. Like, that kid has one of the higher ceilings in the country, and he's going to be one to follow throughout the rest of his career and be a really fun one to follow because we think he has a chance to be, one of the better players in the country when it's all said and done. But two more sophomores I got. Will Clark from Fremd and MJ Castelloni. Sorry, I got four. I didn't even realize I combined these two because they're both from Fremd. Will Clark and MJ Castelloni, just two athletic outfielders that I really liked from Fremd. Will Clark, right-handed hitter. MJ, left-handed hitter. Both are loose, good movers. Like, the swings both work, and I like the way both of them worked in the outfield. Will Clark, Saw him made a really nice play to his right side down the line. Quick first step, covered ground easily, and MJ was just kind of like the captain of the outfield all day, like telling guys in or back, being super vocal out there and super athletic and bouncy. So just like those two. And then Jenner Smith from Hersey, a 2028. Saw him on Friday. It was just a cold week, man. Like, it was 40 degrees, I think. I don't even want to tell you how many layers I had on. It was embarrassing, but he was sitting like 80, 81 basically the entire game. So I'm not worried about what the radar gun's saying when it's that cold. Like, people are stiff, arms are stiff. It's not gonna move as fast. So throw the radar gun out. But the fact that he was able to hold his velo was super impressive. And he was spinning a breaking ball whenever he wanted with really good shape and action to it. 11.5 with bite. And just that pitch, those two pitches alone were, dominant for him. But he's one to dream on. The frame, I mean, it's like 6'2", 160-ish. I don't know I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's super high waisted and athletic. And he's also an interesting right-handed hitter. So one to know there on both sides of the ball.
My underclass follow is Carver Cone. He's the number one ranked 28 out of McHenry. I mean, the kid just hits. He's a twitchy athlete. And on defensively in center field, the body just flows. I mean, he's got quick feet, covers a lot of range. Last week against Prairie Ridge, I saw him. He had 3 hits, including a double in the first inning. And then on Friday, he had another line drive single to right. But I mean, he just handles velo. Both pitchers that he had faced in those 2 outings were mid to upper 80s, and I mean, he's a great player, great defender and everything. I mean, the defense is just really good. Offensively, he's a switch hitter. I still have yet to see him from the right side though, which I'd like to see him from the right side soon. But I mean, he's got quick hands and definitely a top player, one of the top players in the country.
I would like to correct myself. Jenner Smith is 6'3", 190, so I was way off. But still, regardless, the frame is unbelievable.
All right, let's move over to our interview with Keegan Seipp, a 2027 at Triad committed to Xavier.
All right, well, we are, very pumped to have Keegan Seipp on the podcast today. Keegan, we've been a longtime fan of yours. You've been around the prep baseball Illinois system here for a while, ever since the junior future games. Ended up playing at the future games with us last summer. You go to Triad. You are a 2027 grad. You are currently, just looking at the rankings, you're our number one first baseman in the system. And had a great start to the year for Triad. Have had a really good career so far, starting with last year as a sophomore, playing in that lineup that was pretty loaded, made it to state. But getting in there, like, we wanted to have you on, first off, because always love being around you, having you in the dugout at the future games, getting to know you. But then also, like, you're tearing it up so far this spring. Looking at your stats, you're hitting 343 with a 459 on base, 829 slugging. You've got 9 home runs, 32 RBIs. I've got 2 triples in here, 3 doubles, and 22 runs scored. So kudos to just a really good start to the year for you guys. Triad sitting in our Power 25, which coming into the year, I didn't know kind of what to expect out of you guys after last year and losing some pieces. But that's a long-winded introduction, and thanks for jumping on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So looking at this year, like, what are some thoughts on the season? What did you guys think coming into the year, coming off last year, making it to state, third in state? You had a lot of arms. Drew Winslow goes to Oklahoma State. You lose him. There's some others that you lost as well. Hayden Bernruder, I think, was probably the biggest loss for you guys, impacting you guys on both sides of the ball. But what were your expectations coming into the year?
Last year was a very memorable year for me. I think we made that team as so good was our bond, and we all grew up playing together. And I thought our senior leadership was really good. I thought everybody's work ethic last year was great too as well. I mean, it all started with the seniors and stuff like that. But this year's group is very similar. I think we had a lot of old guys that have been through like a deep playoff run, as well as some young guys that are ready to like step up and play.
I'm always taken back by these teams that make a state run It's one and done in the playoffs. And I don't know if there's a certain game that you can think back to of like last year in your run to state, if there was like one game where you guys were behind, or made like a late game push, or maybe had to hold a lead late to survive in advance. But is there any games that kind of stick out to you on your run to state or even at state?
Yeah, I would say Masuda in the sectional final, I think it was. It was like a tie game, went 9 innings, had a triple play. Um, it was just a crazy game, crazy atmosphere. A lot of people were there, so yeah, I think that game really solidified us to like make a run, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost there's almost always one game that's like that, I feel like, for every team that makes it to state. Were there any takeaways you had from state, like playing in that environment? Good, bad, and different. Any learning lessons coming off of that?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of learning lessons. I mean, just playing against the best guys in the state, best teams in the state, obviously was very hard to. I mean, it was hard. I mean, but yeah, I thought it was really fun. Seeing all like the people there, all the Chicago schools bring all their people out there was really cool.
Well, Pete, I'm going to turn this over to you because you've got a question here lined up about hitting. Keegan, we mentioned it coming in. You started off the year red hot and leaving the yard a bunch. I know for a while you were leading the entire St. Louis area in home runs. 9 home runs at this juncture of the season is a bunch of home runs. You're probably close to leading the state, but Pete, get in there.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, you had to have been the Kickoff Classic MVP. Literally, all three, Drew, myself, and I believe it was a Tyler.
Yeah.
We all saw you homer in front of us in like 3 days in a row, so that was pretty cool. But I would just love to know like your hitting philosophy. Like, what are you trying to do up there? What are your like swing thoughts? Just like take me through an at bat. Like, what is kind of your process there?
Well, I usually get pitched like on the outer half, so I'm usually thinking middle to left center gap. But obviously, like if I get a ball middle in, I'm gonna try to pull it, get some backspin, and try to lose it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was pretty bad luck for you at the future games to face basically all lefties, right? You basically saw all left-handed pitchers. So like obviously you didn't get a ton to hit at that event. So like how do you come out of that event and like what do you tell yourself to because you ended up still performing the rest of that summer and the fall and obviously the spring. So like how do you take that what happened there and then use it for for good basically?
Yeah, I thought it was a great experience just playing with all the best players in the country and in our state. So, yeah, I think I hit a lot of balls hard, so I just took that as like a positive and just was like, I can hang with all these guys from around the area.
I specifically noticed that, Keegan. I couldn't believe it. Like every time you came up, the other team rotates arms every 2 innings, and it just so happened like every time a new arm came in and it was a lefty, you were coming up to hit. And I think you said it like it was almost even more impressive how you handled facing the left on left matchups and were still on the barrel taking competitive at bats. Didn't have a ton to show for it, but a ton of really good swings. And it's like, okay, we already knew he could hit. Now he's showing us that he can handle left handed pitching. And to me, it made you stand out even more. Cause like, you're also just a guy, you put your head down and you grind. Like I never see you, show emotion like, oh man, I'm facing another lefty or whatever it may be. But like coming off that future games, what happened with you recruiting? How did the process go? Did it start before that? What was that whole process like for you? Were you stressed during it?
I mean, after the future games, before it was really slow, nothing really, and then after it shot up real quick. Like that first day, we could actually get phone calls and stuff. I got a ton. It was really overwhelming. So yeah, it was a lot to deal with.
Keegan, off that, one thing that I was going to ask is I'm sure throughout the whole process there's visits or schools that you're looking at, kind of trying to decide between, and you ultimately ended up on Xavier. So what about Xavier for you felt like a good fit? Was it the staff, just the team, anything? Like what about Xavier was the right fit for Keegan Seipp?
So I went there. I went to a camp there in the fall and immediately like fell in love with the coaches and the facilities. And then I went on a visit later in the winter and really liked the campus as well as like the schedule and how they play all the best teams in the country every year. So it was a pretty easy choice for me.
Coach O'Connor there. he's no stranger to locking in on Team Illinois at the future games. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like every single year there's been a player from Team Illinois that's committed to Xavier. I can think Joey Arend was one that stands out to me, but he's always like right by our dugout watching the left-handed hitters. So no surprise that he was locked in on you and paying attention and ended up getting you. But in our minds, the more we've seen you as you've grown through high school, like it's been really fun to just watch you continue to get better. And like that's what it's all about for us. I can think back to when you were in 8th grade. You continue to get more athletic. You've got really, really good bat to ball skills that go along with like all field power. And you mentioned like your approach at the plate to Pete about how you're thinking middle away, using the whole field. And if they throw it in or whatever, like you're not afraid to turn on it. But you're committed now. You're hitting in the middle of this triad lineup. I'm sure teams are, pitching you difficult, pitching you backwards, not trying to not let you beat them. But just in general, looking at yourself as a baseball prospect, getting to where you want to be, like, what are some goals for you? What are some things you're trying to accomplish here these next 2 seasons, finishing out here your junior year, going into your senior year to be ready for that next level, whatever it is when the time calls?
So yeah, I've obviously wanted to get back to state and win state. That's obviously always been a goal for me. And I also want to set the home run record at Triad here, which is always great, but I'm one away, so I need to.
I was just gonna ask, yeah, what is that?
It was
Yeah,
9, so I set it at 9, and then I need to one more to break it.
we didn't mention this or anything, but you have a twin brother,
Yep.
Cannon, that plays, as well. So like, how instrumental is having that twin brother coming up in a baseball family? Like your dad was a college baseball player. I'm guessing he's raised you as a baseball player ever since you were born and teaching you everything he knows. But like feeding off each other, working out together. How instrumental is your brother in this whole ordeal as well?
He's been a big part of it. I would say just having another person there that can flip me balls and we can hit together. I can point some things out to him. He can point some things out to me that he sees. It's just a lot like it's pretty great to have him there.
Because just like you, like, man, he's making huge strides in his game as well,
Yeah.
which is really, really fun to see. And before we get off here, which thank you for joining us. I know you're taking some time out at school right now, so it means a lot that you jump in here and have a conversation. But who are some guys down there at Triad that maybe you want to call out? It could be a Triad, it could be in the area, maybe really good players that you face, but anybody that you deserve or you think deserves a shout out. Because man, there's some guys on your team, like your top 2 hitters. When I saw you guys play, I feel like have been really key to you guys this spring. I don't want to take your answers here, but feel free. This is a time for you to just give some love to some guys that maybe deserve it.
Yeah, I think really Braxton Yates and Carter Gaskell have been really good for us this season. I mean, they've been our 2 leadoff guys all year, so they've been setting the tone for me to get up there and hit them in. And yeah, I would say some young guys, freshman Cody Anderson has been locked down on the mound. He's had I think 3 starts so far this season and has done 3 scoreless starts, so
Okay.
he's been really good. And I think next year he'll be really good at the plate and in the infield too as well. I would say probably Lane Summers and Nolan Miller, 2 sophomores. Nolan Miller's an outfielder, and Lane Summers a catcher. They're 2 physical bats, really athletic, and really strong kids. So I think they'll help us next year as well.
I love it, Keegan, and thank you for taking the time out today and talking to us. I mean, you're a guy that we're going to continue to track, and being down there at Triad, like, we're going to have to get out there and see you guys again coming up. Are there any big late season matchups that you're excited about before playoffs start?
I think next week we have 2 games against Mosquitoes. Those are going to be big games for us, so it's always a rivalry there.
Good luck the rest of the season. Good luck with the playoff run. Would love to see Triad make some noise again. And it's great talking to you. And really looking forward to, not only seeing what you can do here the rest of your high school career, especially this season, the home run record that you're chasing, but, what the future holds for you and what your ceiling ends up being. Because we're huge fans and we're rooting for you, Keegan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
All right, that'll wrap up this week's episode of The Bullpen. As always, appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and rate us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.